I think that's wonderful, but you can imagine how it would play in Greg Lake's part of the world, and that's the trouble. In America, but increasingly here too, we are hunkering down into our cultural silos, talking to one another, but not really listening or able to engage with others whose take on the world is very different. I've given you a few snapshots of religious, if not always very Christian America, and there'll be more in future shows. And before I close, just let me say why. Obviously, because the extremes of American religion interest me intensely, and there are some personal reasons for that. Partly because what happens in America politically affects the rest of the world, so we have an at least indirect stake in the future of its presidency, but also because it's often said we get America's weather toned down a bit a fortnight after they've had it, so we often pick up their cultural trends a decade or so later, and this is very worrying to me. Just as America's been riven by a culture war for 20 years at least, with Democrats and Republicans barely able to find a common language, so Britain is becoming more divided along various regional, political, cultural, even racial lines, and I hope that our faith communities will understand their role, as the American church hasn't or has failed to exercise, as one of building bridges between sides rather than taking sides in the name of a God who always votes the way they do. On which note, I'm going to wrap up and play you some Holst. You think Holst, you think the planets. So much his most popular work, you might struggle to name another one. But there was a time when it wasn't the planets, and this was. Written not long after the carnage of World War I, Holst's Hymn of Jesus gave immense solace to many people who were struggling to fathom the depths of depravity to which the world had sunk in those 4 ghastly years. My name is Richard Bradshaw, but yours isn't. So goodbye. Look out for each other. Be mindful, and God bless.